Again, that tailwind is just sort of gently helping the crews. I don't think it's strong enough for world best times. We're going to see the world champions from Great Britain. They're in lane 2 because they were pushed out of the first qualifying position, admittedly in a race where 2 were qualifying. But it's one of the first races we haven't seen the Great Britain Coxters 4 win in the last few years.
Monterosa in the background. Crews for the men's 4. Britain, of course, double world champions, but they have been, as you heard Greg saying, under real pressure. Dutch crew not yet shone at this regatta over here on the near side. Okay, so surprise package in the final. Dmitry Hula, Olev Kravchenko, Sergei Grin and Niristuas Oleski Selivanov. Been training in Banyoles in Spain, then they've come here to the lake in Varese. Handshake from Selivanov and Grin. The war still very much a factor, of course. World champions, Freddie Davison. Behind him, the power of Matt Aldridge, Dave Ambler in the 2-seat, another St Paul's schoolboy, as is Freddie Davison, and Ollie Wilkes, the former competitive swimmer, up in the bows. Nicholas Cole in the stroke seats, more of him, the familiar features, the star of Italian rowing, Giuseppe Vicino from his 2 younger brothers will be in the Italian 8. Giovanni Abignali, 1B, not the famous Abignali family, and Matteo Loddo, another former Italian world champion. This Swiss 4 really been impressive here. Kai Schatzler, Pat Brunner, Tim Roth from Cal in the United States, and in the bows, Joel Shurich, brother of Simon, Olympic champion in the lightweight men's 4 in Rio. Great to see a German 4 in the final. Jasper Angel, Kasper Winkneers, Malte Grossmann, and Frederick Brewer in the German men's 8, in the German men's 4. The Netherlands finished 4th last year. They've switched their 4s up. Ralph Rinks in the stroke seats. Behind him, Eli Brewer, Nelson Ritsima, Gus Muley up in the bows. The Neerhaus oarsmen, there are the British world champions. The camera's focusing on them, but they are under pressure. They didn't have a good start in their heat, Greg. How important is this first 100 metres going to be for them now?
Well, we've just seen the GB women's 4 with a commanding performance. I'm sure the men will want to follow suit, and immediately the next race we see the British not the quickest off, but the British just gently getting into the race, the world champions, as you say. But your eyes can't help me being drawn towards the Italian home favourites in the centre of the course, whether that's their bow out in front in boat number 3, or whether actually it's this German crew who also came directly through from the heat to the final.
Yeah, there's Freddie Davison. And, you know, the British 4, to be fair to them, they haven't had the best preparation. You know, I think they've been disrupted by injury, but, you know, people have their niggles and injuries. You've kind of got to get on with it. It's great to see them back in the boat. They're down on the Italians at the moment. It's probably been a slightly better start than the heat, but what a close race we've got in prospect. The Dutch not out of it too on this near side, Greg.
Well, pretty much right across the field. It's only the Ukrainian crew on the far side who look a little bit out of it at this stage, but we saw them finish really well yesterday to earn their place in the final. As we say, this German crew, good to see German rowing being competitive outside of just the 8, because they've always been pretty good in the 8, although that's been struggling of late.
I'm trying to think when the German men's 4 have last been in the final of the World Championships. I can't remember, maybe 15,
very rare
20
that
years
it
ago.
happens outside of the 8, as we look in here on the Dutch.
Guus Muley up there in the bow seats, was in the Dutch 8 last year, got a silver medal, the man from Neerhaus.
And he keeps his outside arm really straight, doesn't he, the bowman there, really coming around his rigger. With Rick Rinks in the stroke seat, the only remaining member from the crew last year. Talking
to his dad, actually, interviewed him earlier this week. Nico Rinks, double Olympic champion. There's the British again. Freddie Davison, great to see him back in a boat.
And I think the British have got into that steady rhythm that we were used to seeing last year, and you can see the impact that it has. They've now just started to ease their way away from the rest of the field. This is what we saw last year when they were at their best. So I'm sure this will be, well, fantastic for their support team to see at this point.
They get to a speed and hold it, don't they? It's not. So looking at the Swiss boat there, Kai Schatzler, he's in the stroke seat of the Swiss Swiss boat from Lucerne, the 23-year-old. The Swiss have yet to qualify. The Romanians rode them down in the World Championships last year, grabbed the 7th place. The Swiss finished 8th. They've got to go to the qualification regatta. Britain looks so smooth out in front. I mean, I think when people say who's the crew that rows best in the world, the British men's four are one of the contenders, maybe the British women's lightweight double. What do you think?
Well, that's a very big question now. I mean, I thought well, there was a number of boats last year. Hard to say which one would say would be the best one in terms of how they row, but the British here, I like what they're doing from a British point of view, the way they're easing out. They will be happy to have eased out on the rest of the field. Interesting, Italy going with them. You talked about the Swiss. They were 8th at the World Championships last year, so they need to be almost a bit more advanced in their cycle if they're going to be up for the qualifying regatta. But Britain, like you say, looking pretty smooth. For you, this is your coaching video, is it, Martin?
It's my coaching video, coached by Christian Felkel, who we know has just started coaching the British men's pair today, who were on the gold rostrum. The Dutch, for Diederik Simon, their coach, is going to be so pleased. This is the best row they've had at this regatta. They're in bronze medal position ahead of the Swiss. The Germans back in 5th place, not out of it is that crew on the far side from Ukraine, just trying to get on the coattails of the Germans. But what can Italy do in this third quarter up against the British?
Well, certainly not out of it, that German crew. But let's have a look. It's the Italians, really, who are going stroke for stroke, speed for speed with the British. They're putting a push in to try and come back. You see that gap at 14 metres. They don't want to see that getting any bigger from an Italian point of view.
There's the 4 men from Germany. Jasper Angel was in the men's 8 last year that grabbed that Olympic qualifying slot. Hanging on to the Swiss. Great Britain now being challenged by the Italians.
Yeah, the Italians are up at 41 strokes a minute. They're hanging onto the stern of that British boat. You can see it here. It's just a little bit of clear water that Great Britain have got. There's only 500 metres to go. Italy are pushing early. They've gone for the accelerator early. 42 strokes a minute now from Italy. Britain still at 38 and holding on to that lead.
And the Italians have got Nicholas Cole from Gavirati, just the other end of the lake in the stroke seat. You can see him go there. He's got a place at Oxford University Boat Club next year to do the boat race. Rode in the States in the Syracuse 1v8. But he's not going to get back on this British crew. They look so smooth. They haven't even put the foot down yet, Greg.
Well, no, they're still at 38 strokes a minute. The Italians up at 44. You can see it on the graphic. That man Cola in the stroke seat. He's the new one looking over his shoulder. He's ready to sprint. He's ready to take it in. There is still about, 150 metres to go.
There is.
And the Italians are coming back very strongly on the British.
And how much of the British taken out of them? Can they do a sprint? It's going to be Matt Aldridge in the 3 seat. I'm not sure Freddie Davison in the stroke seat's got much of a sprint. The Italians charge. We saw this, didn't we, from Giuseppe Vincino in 2017, where they got through the Croatians to take the gold medal in the pairs. The Italians are coming.
47 strokes a minute from the Italians. They're coming up nearly bow ball to bow ball. The British are only at 42. Here we go, coming down to the line.
It is going to be Italy to take a famous victory, or is it the British are responding? Britain's still in front. It's going to be the Sergeant of the line. It is Italy. And they take it from Great Britain. Britain lose for the second time in this regatta. Netherlands take the bronze medal. What a sprint. And they smashed the water. Giovanni Abignali. We saw that from Giuseppe Vicino in 2017. And Matteo Loddo, the man in the bow seat. They know how to sprint finish. I thought it was too much. Great Britain, the world champions, have to settle for a silver medal. Whoa.
Well, you called it, Martin. Nicholas Cole in the stroke seat of that Italian boat. He's from Gavirati Rowing Club. So here he is just at the other end of the lake. He must know this so well. He must have visualised that race so many times. Sprinting over the line, taking a length out of the world champions in the last 500 metres.
Yeah, we've not seen any crew do that to them, except, of course, in the heat. The Italians beat them in the heat on Friday, but I'm not sure when the British got out so well, which they didn't in the heat, that they were going to be touched.
Well, here we see the pictures, and the British did look smooth. They did look consistent. They had that pace that you were starting to hint about it, Martin, that I think the British crews have a lovely base pace, that they get into a speed that's just consistent. But then the question comes, is someone going to race it? Is someone going to be more racy than them? Is someone going to be more aggressive than them? Is someone who use rate in the way the Italians did there? And what we saw is that if you do that, these British crews aren't necessarily unbeatable, and the Italians did it there.
Yeah, Freddie Davison, not the biggest score on the ergometer. You know, he's done his work in the middle of the race, really, and, you know, expects that to be enough. But the drive of these Italians...
Well, it sets us up for an exciting season, doesn't it, if the Italians are going to have that sort of speed. You wonder what more they're going to have as the season goes on. They finished at 47 strokes a minute.
47?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whereas the British came up to about 42. So you think, well, today is your day, and absolutely brilliant for the Italians here on their home water. You can see what it means to them. Confirmation there, that gold medal for Italy, just 0.15 of a second ahead of Great Britain, and the Netherlands did pretty well over here to get the bronze.
Germany in fourth, they'll be pleased with that result. Missed the medal, but, you know, competitive. Syracuse University in the USA, the 1v8s. They call them the big...
Again, lovely moments on the